In this video, we're going to talk about how to solve one-step inequalities. So we solve inequalities the same way that we solve equations. We use the inverse operation, which if we don't remember, just means the opposite operation. So for example, with multiplication, the inverse or the opposite would be to divide and vice versa. And then with addition, the opposite or the inverse would be subtraction and vice versa. So you always want to do the opposite or the inverse. So example 1, you start a dog walking business. Each dog earns you $8. Write and solve an inequality to find the amount of dogs you need to walk to make at least $32. So each dog is going to earn us $8. I know that if it's each dog, every single dog that I walk, I am making $8. I know I'm going to use multiplication to represent this. I don't know how many dogs I'm walking. That's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the amount of dogs. So I'm going to use a variable here. Remember that whenever a number is next to a variable, that's called a coefficient because it means that we are multiplying here. So 8D, I am trying to make $32, and if I'm making at least 32, I'm going to include an or equal to sign here because I know that that is part of the solution. And then I also want to make more than that. So I can make 32. I'm totally okay with making $32, but I also want to make more than 32. So 8 times D is greater than or equal to 32. To solve this, I'm going to draw my line down from my equal sign. I have multiplication here, so the opposite or the inverse would be to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. This cancels out, so I'm left with D on the left-hand side. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So this means that I have to walk 4 or more than 4 dogs to meet my goal of making $32, or at least $32. All right, let's do some more practice with all 4 of our operations and solving inequalities. So I'm going to draw my line down. In this problem, my operation is addition, so the inverse or the opposite would be to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 637. This cancels out, and now I need to actually subtract here. I'm going to go ahead and line this up better so it's easier for me to see. So I have a bunch of zeros here. I can't take anything away from 0. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have to borrow from the 2 to make that a 1. This would make this 0 a 10, but then I borrow to make that a 9, to make this 0 a 10, so that I can borrow, make that one a 9 to turn my first 0 into a 10. So 10 minus 0 is 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3, and then 1 minus nothing is 1. So my solution would be x is less than or equal to 1,363. Problem 2, draw your line down. We're seeing that division is being used, so to undo division, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. I'm going to go ahead and cancel those out. X is less than or equal to, I'm going to go ahead and multiply here. 4 times 0, I'm going to take that dot away because it kind of looks like a decimal. Put it over here. 4 times 0 is 0, and then 4 times 6 is 24. So my solution would be x is less than or equal to 240. Draw my line down for my inequality sign. Multiplication is being used here. I'm going to do the opposite, which is division. This cancels out, so I'm left with h is greater than or equal to 105 divided by 15. I do not know what this is, so I can go ahead and set up my division house if I would like, but what's going to be more helpful to me in this case, because 15 cannot fit into 1 or 10, so it's just going to have to go straight into 15. I am going to do I have 2 options. I could list out multiples of 15, or I can do a guess and check. I'm going to go ahead and do a guess and check. I think that's going to be a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to start with 6. 15 times 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. that is 90. So I know that is a little small, so I'm going to see if 15 can actually go in 7 times. 15 times 7 is 35. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 3 is 10. So I found my answer here, which is 7. So H is greater than or equal to 7. Last one, draw your line down. You see that subtraction is being used. So the inverse or the opposite would be to add. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. These cancel out. I'm left with X is less than or equal to. And I'm going to go ahead and add 25 and 9 here. So I have 9 plus 5, which is 14. Carry my 1. So now I have 2 plus 1, which is 3. So X is less than or equal to 34.